Inclusive is brought to you by Destination Everywhere, a company dedicated to travelers of all abilities. My name is Eleonora, and I'm your host. And we're recording. And a big warm welcome to James Exton today. Hello, James.
Hello, Eleonora. How are you?
Good. I'm fine. How are you and where are you?
I'm very bored. I'm at home in Cranwell in England. So just dying to go away somewhere, but I don't know when that will be. But
let's keep fingers crossed. You're during this is your third lockdown, isn't it? For the UK.
although I've lost track, really. It's the government say one thing, and I decided, middle of last year to just avoid everyone and not to leave the house. So, which is fine. I don't mind that too much. But
Okay. But then it's good to have a few online chats. I mean, we've done a few since the beginning of Corona.
yeah,
You and I, yeah. We did one in Sri Lanka because James is the founder of. Actually, are they two separate companies or is it all in one? Access Sri Lanka and Access the Globe.
Access the Globe now.
Okay, so Access Sri Lanka has become Access the Globe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you do consultancies on accessibility for tourism in Sri Lanka, right?
Yes. Yeah. But we 2 years ago, I started doing some work in Dubai as well for a school for people, for children with disabilities. And I was hoping to expand, from just focusing on Sri Lanka to also moving into the Middle East. So,
Lovely. Yeah, because I know you have this passion for Sri Lanka that we're going to be talking about later on, which is really like a long love story with this beautiful country. But I wanted to ask you to tell us a little bit about your past professionally, because you've had you've touched quite a few different sectors when it comes to accessibility. So this accessibility for travel consulting is just like the most recent topic you've worked on.
yeah. Well, I graduated from university in economics and wanted to go into banking. But in the 90s, if you had a disability, it was very difficult to get a job in the financial sector. So I started doing voluntary work for a charity, and they concentrated on improving access in clothing stores. So we go into a shop, have a look at if there were hearing loops, what kind of signage there was, how wide the aisles were, that kind of thing. So I did that for about 3 years. Then I started working with my father, who was building houses, and I would advise him and give him consultancy services, although he never paid me, on how they could improve access in a natural house. So we looked at the Whitford doorways, putting in wet rooms into a house, ramping up to the doorstep, that kind of thing. And then after that, this would have been about 2017, I thought about trying to improve accessibility for tourists in Sri Lanka, because I've been going to Sri Lanka. At the time, it was 16 years I've been going every year, and I could count the number of disabled tourists I'd met during my travels on one hand. So I thought, well, Sri Lanka has got everything. As I've told you before, it's, the weather, the food, the culture, history, the people. But, when it comes to accessibility, if you're in a wheelchair, if you're a wheelchair user, you can find it very difficult to get around. So I started my own company, and I tried to get the whole idea of accessibility in tourism in Sri Lanka to be taken up. Unfortunately, one big tour company said, "Oh yeah, there is a big market here." So I've been working with them for 2 years now, just giving them consultancy services. And then by luck, coronavirus hit. Everything is on pause. But the good news is Sri Lanka has opened up the airport. I think it was on Monday. Um, and they started vaccinating the local population today.
Great.
So, hopefully, as soon as I get vaccinated, I can go over there and start things up again. And I'm thinking that because people with disabilities are going to be one of the first groups to start traveling. I'm saying to tour operators, well, don't you want to attract the first people who are getting on the plane? So fingers crossed, things will look a lot better in second half of the year.
Love travel? Miss travel, right? Then you should join Tabifolk, the online community for inclusive travel, where you can meet people from all over the world, exchange tips, ask questions, meet locals, and be the local that they ask questions to also. So create your profile on Tabifolk. It's free, and it's a lively and international community that you will love to spend time with. Tabifolk.com. The address is in the podcast notes. Enjoy.
But I have a question for you regarding not you as a travel expert, but you as a traveler. So I want to know how would you describe your travel style, and if you think this is going to change after COVID, or if you're just gonna keep on traveling in the same way and with the same looking for the same things as you did before. So what kind of traveler are you now, were, and will be?
I think before this happened, I was very. Some people would say I was tight and didn't like spending money, but I was always wary about, if I should spend this, because maybe if I didn't have a coffee at 11 o'clock, I could have an extra gin in the evening.
Life is made of choices.
Coffee or gin, and unfortunately, coffee lost. But I think now that, after what we've all been through, I always told people life is short, so always enjoy it while you can. Carpe diem. But, I would say that, but I would realistically try and save every penny I had, because I never knew what would happen tomorrow. But now, I mean, what we've been through, I can't see anything like this happening ever again. So I really am going to just enjoy myself. And when I went away last year, I went to Cambodia, Sri Lanka, and Thailand, and India, and I'm so glad I did that now, because by spending a bit extra money, I experienced so much more, and it's like it's made up for last year. So this year, I'll be going to Sri Lanka first of all, and then looking at Cambodia again, Thailand, and maybe Vietnam, because whereas Sri Lanka is beautiful, and that will always be my first love. Cambodia is also an amazing country, but accessibility is not good there. So there's a lot of work that I can do there. Well, sounded big-headed, but it's not just me. There are other people over there, but it has got a lot to offer people.
What are your tips for travelers using a wheelchair for going to Cambodia and Sri Lanka? Because I know Thailand is rather well equipped.
Yeah.
It's very touristic and it's rather accessible, I'm told. I haven't been myself, but I know that, yes, Cambodia and Sri Lanka, as you also said, they're a bit more rough. What are your 2 or 3 tips that you can give people that they should plan for or get ready for?
Right. Okay. Well, for me, the biggest, when I'm planning a trip away, the biggest problem is researching hotels, finding an accessible hotel with a disabled bathroom, and then trying to find accessible transport. Now, in my case, fortunately, I can walk a bit. So even though I use the wheelchair, when I'm going from pub to pub, sorry, I didn't mean pub to pub. I meant restaurant to restaurant. I can walk. I can walk into a taxi, and if there were a couple of stairs into a museum, I can, if someone helps me, I can walk upstairs. So Cambodia, I think, if you can walk a bit, you can manage. Whereas with Sri Lanka, we've got a fantastic wheelchair accessible vehicle. And we were working on hotels. I mean, at the moment, we've got 4 or 5 hotels which, have disabled bathrooms. But, Sri Lanka, if you do your research, contact me and I can give you some advice.
Yeah, 4 or 5 hotels is not a lot, but I guess it's already a big change. It's a shift.
I mean, it's 2 years ago there was nothing. So, and there wasn't even a wheelchair accessible vehicle. But there is now. So slowly we're making improvements.
Great. So you're basically you're a cheap traveler, but you're going to become almost a luxury traveler in the future. You're going to splurge a bit more.
Yeah, well, I won't worry so much about the coffee. I'll have coffee and gin instead of just gin.
Just let's focus on the important things in life, and that's why I want you as a gin connoisseur and consumer.
Right.
Where did you have your best gin and tonic on holiday? So where is the best place to go, or where is the when was that time when you really had a gin and tonic with great company, great location? Your favorite gin and tonic moment?
Right, okay. I think, can I give you two?
Oh, sure. Even three.
The first location is Mount Lavinia Hotel in Sri Lanka, which is a colonial style hotel. And it used to be the British governor's home. But it's now a hotel, so you got big oak doors, and it's open to the sea, to the ocean. So I was sitting there, and they were playing 1920s music. So it was like the flapper era. And I was having gin and tonic, just looking out over the Indian Ocean, sipping my gin with 4 friends, which was very nice. And then the second best location, I think, is Hong Kong. Now, I'd spent 10 days in Taiwan, having some medical treatment, which is very painful. And there was a very strict diet. So I couldn't eat any meat. I couldn't have coffee. I couldn't eat dairy. And definitely no gin. So after 10 days in Taiwan undergoing this treatment, I went to Hong Kong, and on that occasion, I did spend a bit more money. I thought I'd splurge and relax a bit. So because I checked into a basic room in a 4-star hotel, and they said, "Oh, do you want an upgrade to the Platinum Club?" And
Yes.
well, what is the Platinum Club? And they said, well, if you pay £50 more, you can go to this club on the rooftop, and you have your own breakfast. You don't mix with the underlings. No, I don't mean that. So you can go into a private restaurant on the rooftop, and in the evening you can go onto the rooftop for you can have cheese buffet and any alcohol that you want. And I said, any alcohol? And they said, yeah, no limit. So fast as I could do it, I slapped down $50 on the desk and said, yeah, book me in.
I'm in.
So anyway, after 10 days of very difficult treatment in Taiwan, I spent a bit more money, went to this Platinum Club, and had gin and tonic every night, looking out over the Bay of Hong Kong. And it was very nice. I've really enjoyed that. I think I needed that. So
I think I'm really starting to get your travel style. And really, it's we're all understanding it more and more the more you tell us about these episodes. Kind of create this traveling persona, which is very very funny. But I want to ask you now, this is the hard question. What was your worst holiday moment or travel moment in your whole life? The one that you really say that must never happen again.
well,
It's a tough one.
that would be. I'm not going to say the country, but it was in the past 3 years. I went somewhere and I landed at the airport at midnight. Went to passport control, and first of all, the passport officer made fun of my speech.
Oh, we want to know what country this is now.
No, I can't say.
You're too kind.
Yeah, I'll tell you later. And then he wanted me to, because you had to give a fingerprint, before they let you go in. And where the fingerprint machine was, you had to go up 2 steps. And I was in the wheelchair, and I said, "Well, I can't go up there. I can't do it." He said, "Try." So I put my foot down. Well, put my foot down and said, "No, I can't do it." So 2 other people came over, and they listened to me, and they said, "Oh, no problem." They just picked up the sensor, and they had a long lead, so they put the sensor on my knee. So
Yeah.
I think that guy, the passport immigration, that was the worst position I've been in. And I mean, even now it makes me angry. So yeah, that's the worst. But having said that, it's I've been lucky enough to have met some really good people in every country I've been to. So, odds are that I was meant to, meet a real idiot one day. Yeah.
Sooner or later,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so we go from the worst to the best. The best holiday, the best trip of your
Ooh.
life. Can also be one you haven't done.
Well, the best you want one that I want to do in the future. Or
It can be one you've already done, or you can say, like the best trip we have. The best trip we took is the one we haven't taken,
right,
kind of thing.
that
You
would
can
be
choose, or you can do
very
both.
philosophical. But I think the best one that I've done would be, I suppose, Thailand. When I went there with my dad in about 4 months after we went there, he got cancer. So when I think back of all the things we'd done, during that holiday, it was magic. But also, I just come out of a really bad relationship, and I didn't want to go to Thailand, but my dad said, "Oh yeah, go, come on, lay your hair down, you'll get over her," and I did. I went over
That's great.
so, as
Nothing like a great holiday to get over a heartbreak.
yeah. Well, I recommend Thailand to anyone who's depressed.
Super. Any place in particular?
We went to started off in Bangkok. Then we went to Kanchanaburi, which is where the bridge over the River Kwai is. And then we went to Koh Samet, one of the islands. And I think Kanchanaburi was the most enjoyable for me because I love history. So it's funny that I went to Kanchanaburi to see the bridge, and then the film The Bridge Over the River Kwai was filmed in, guess what country?
In England? No.
Sri Lanka.
Oh, right.
So I've seen the real bridge and also the film set, film location. So
It wasn't in Pinewood Studios.
no, that's only Bond.
But not the last ones. The last Bonds, I mean, they've traveled quite a lot.
Yeah.
I went to Siena the summer they were filming. I think it was Quantum of Solace, the second Bond with Daniel Craig, of whom I am a terrible huge fan. So I dragged my sister in the middle of the Siena Square during the Palio, during the horse race. They didn't film during the horse race because, of course, the city, the people from Siena would have not accepted that, like
Really?
interfering in their annual, horse race, which is like the whole city basically is built and functions around the Palio.
Mm.
But we were actually in a position, a very uncomfortable position in the middle of the square, which was full of people. How weird to think that we were so close to so many people and standing there for like 3 hours or something, waiting for these horses to just start. And we were just under the window where Daniel Craig and his wife were having a toast with champagne and, probably with the mayor or some other authority because, they were the special guests that summer. And me and my sister, we were in the middle with nothing to drink anymore because we'd run out of everything. It was so hot. It was a nightmare. But so yeah, they do go on location, the James Bond. I've seen them.
Well, I was hoping to go to Thailand in March last year. And I was thinking, no, well, the Bond film comes out in March, so I can go and see that in Bangkok. But I think it's now been put back to October this year. So
You might still make it. You never know. Second chances. But tell me a little bit. I'm curious how how this love for Sri Lanka started. When was the first time you went, and how did the love affair start? I mean, why did you come back every year? Why do you like it so much?
Right. Well, I first went there in October 1999, and my sister and me. We have a neurological disease called Friedreich's ataxia, and we'd been told. Well, she'd been told of a acupuncture doctor in Sri Lanka who could cure it. So my dad bought us air tickets to go out there, stay with this doctor we were meant to stay there for half a year. Now, after a couple of days, I realised that this doctor was just on the make, and his clinic was next door to a brothel.
Was it part of the treatment?
No, because I laughed. Maybe I should have stuck it out. But anyway, he was charging $50 a day for treatment and lodging, and the lodging was very, very basic. And I'd gone there with my girlfriend at the time. Had come with me to keep me company, which is another story. And after a couple of days, I thought, right, we can't stay here. So I said, well, we'll go into Colombo and we'll try and find a better accommodation for my sister and my girlfriend. Anyway, we spent the whole day traveling around Colombo looking for a hotel to stay. And by the end of the day, my girlfriend at the time was getting very short-tempered. And I said, right, okay, well, I don't care how much it is. The next hotel we find, we're staying at. So anyway, we drove up this long road and it turned out to be the Mount Lavinia Hotel. Beautiful 5-star hotel, 4-star hotel. And, at the time we were going through the gates, I was reaching for my wallet, counting how much money I had, thinking, I wish I hadn't said this. But anyway, we stayed in the hotel, and the following morning I was chatting with the manager, and I told him the predicament we were in, and he said, well, we can give you a stateroom, which was a massive suite. So me, my girlfriend, my sister, we could all stay there for, I think it was $40.
Wow. Even better than the...
Yeah, I mean, the doctor was charging me $50, my girlfriend $50, and my sister $50. So I thought, well, we can all stay here in this fantastic hotel. Every morning, get a tuk-tuk, 3-wheeler, for maybe £1 to the clinic, and then come back in the evening. So anyway, that's when I fell in love with the Mount Lavinia Hotel, and all the people in that hotel were fantastic. So friendly, so warm, helpful. And even when I go back today, well, 2 years ago, a lot of the people are still there. So, they
So you grow up.
well, yeah, it's, I go there for breakfast and, all the waiters know me by name and the managers, good morning, Mr. James. And everyone else, every other guest at the hotel must think, who the hell is this guy?
Oh, he's a top one.
Yeah.
He's a top one. He must be a shareholder. He must be one of the owners.
I wish I was. So that's when I fell in love with the people in Sri Lanka, apart from the doctor and his brothel. And, they started going back every year because also at the hotel, at the time there was an Ayurveda doctor, and Ayurveda is Indian local medicine, and of course it was developed more in Sri Lanka. So I had an Ayurvedic doctor on site, and again I said, because I got speaking with him, and I said, how much would the treatment be for a month? And he said, oh, no charge. just make a donation. And he said, which is very Buddhist of him, he said, when you've got the ability to treat people and make them better, you should do it. You shouldn't worry about what colour they are, what nationality, what religion. If you can't do that basic thing, then you're not helping the world. So I went back every year for Ayurveda, and then I met in 2003. I met an acupuncture doctor who was amazing. He was so warm and friendly and so funny as well. His sense of humour, even though he was Sri Lankan, he had a very English sense of humour. So the structure of the day would be a patient would go to the hospital, have the acupuncture, and then at midday, the students of the acupuncture clinic would have a lecture given by this doctor. So, and because I was a patient, I was invited to the lectures. And that went on for 2 years, because after 2 years he passed away. But by that time I was so hooked on acupuncture, because acupuncture I'm not saying it works for every disease, but for my neurological disease, it worked wonders. So every time I go back, I still go to his clinic and have acupuncture as well. So, it's a combination of the people, the weather, the treatment, the food, everything. And also, gin is only £2 a shot.
Okay. But I wanted to ask you, what's the weather like? Because it can vary a lot, can it not, in Sri Lanka?
Yeah, they have. Japan, for such a small country, it's got an amazing array of climates. So depending on the time of year that you go, and also the side of the island you go to, you could hit the monsoon period. But basically, I say monsoon, but it can be pouring with rain, but it can still be about 25, 30 degrees. So, you don't mind that. But normally, April can be very hot. You're looking at, it can be 35 plus in April. So the best time to go really is January, February, March. November is really big monsoon time. So, but if you're a big fan of thunderstorms, it's a wonderful time to go.
Thunderstorm tourism.
Well, you never know.
Everyone has a right to a thunderstorm holiday once in a lifetime.
Throw in a free umbrella.
Probably, yeah. You have to think about that for your tour company, as a gadget, big sturdy umbrella that will resist the monsoon. James, this is great. I love your travel stories, but now I have one last question for you, which is the cherry on the cake. And I want you to give us your your ideal romantic holiday destination?
Well, if you're single or
No, in any. It's
if
like the ideal romance. It can be with anyone, with anything. It can be like a solo vacation with a cat. It's like it can be a couple's vacation. It could be a threesome vacation. I don't know. The ideal romantic holiday, according to you.
right, I don't think I'm very romantic, but I mean, people would say, "Oh, Venice and Paris." Really, it depends who your partner is. But I mean,
Liverpool could be an option.
let's see. I mean, some of the islands in Thailand are amazing. And also the Maldives. I've never been to the Maldives because it's always struck me as being a place for couples. I think if a single guy goes to the Maldives, he'd look out of place. But I would probably pick the Maldives. But I mean, I to be honest, I'm not really a beach person. I prefer to go and see, history and ruins and that kind of thing.
Okay, but then I have to reformulate the question. Where's the most romantic place for a gin and tonic?
Well,
Everywhere.
at the moment, my living room is quite good.
At the moment, I'm sure it's the best place. I mean, better than the kitchen. Not sure if you have a garden. Maybe,
Yeah,
I don't
but
know, if the garden competes in summer.
yeah, I'll probably go back to Mount Lavinia again. Although I love to go to Raffles in Singapore, and have gin and tonic in the Long Bar, the famous Long Bar. But I think that would be quite expensive. So if anyone wants,
So it really depends if the if there's a lot of romance or not. If there isn't enough romance, then
well, I, I think with gin you can make romance anyway.
it's a romantic thing in itself. It's a romantic drink.
Yes, yes.
So, James, you were telling me before that in all of your travels you've been to a million countries, but there is something that's happened to you a few times that you get mistaken for somebody very famous. Who is it?
Well, I would like to say Brad Pitt or Daniel Craig, but
They're very different looking, two of them.
thank you. Shall we end this conversation?
No, they're different between one another. I mean,
Okay.
with Brad Pitt, they don't look alike. So.
I went to Brazil. It must be about 10 years ago. And I was looking around the cathedral in Sao Paulo, and a very attractive Brazilian girl came up to me, and I thought, oh, this looks quite good. And she said, "Do you know you look just like Mr. Bean?" And I was gobsmacked. I thought, well,
That was her pickup line.
well, maybe it worked actually.
Oh, good.
No, it didn't. But the same thing happened to me when I was in China. I went to Shenzhen 15 years ago, and unfortunately, my wheelchair broke on the first day. So I went round Shenzhen trying to find someone who could repair this wheelchair, because I was thinking, oh, well, it's mechanical, surely a garage should be able to do something. So I found this garage near the hotel, and I went there, and in my pidgin Chinese and with a lot of hand movements, I showed this mechanic what the problem was, and he went away and started chatting with some of the people he worked with, and he started laughing. And I thought, well, I don't know if that's a good sign or not. But anyway, one then came over to me and said, you look like Mr. Bean. So
Another one.
I don't know what to make of that. I mean,
Well, you look nothing like him now, so you must have been a bit different when you were 10 or 15 years ago.
Maybe I'll send you a picture. But
Oh, yes. So,
but funnily enough, he lives maybe 50 miles away from me. So
okay. Oh,
maybe I should go over and see him once we can travel again.
your twin.
Yeah.
But you know that he tells a very funny anecdote because once he said he was at some car store to get some replacement parts, and a guy comes up to him and tells him, you look really uncannily like that actor Rowan Atkinson, and he tried to say that he actually was Rowan Atkinson, and the guy kept on looking at him in disbelief and saying, no, you're not, but you really, really look like. So I think that there's a problem with Rowan Atkinson and his lookalikes.
Well, it's I told my friends in Sri Lanka it's Mr. Bean story, and they naturally started calling me Mr. Bean. So
Okay.
my nickname over there.
So thank you for this. And so I'm just going to ask it again, but I know the answer already. As soon as you start traveling again, where are you going to go?
Sri Lanka.
So really, fingers crossed that this can happen as soon as possible in all safety. Thank you very, very much, James. And yes, where can people find you online if they want to follow your activities and know more about Access the Globe?
Right.
Social media, website.
The website address is www.accesstheglobe.co.uk, and you can read about what we do and some of the packages we got. I'm also working on a YouTube channel and also Instagram, and someone told me to start up a Twitter feed. So that might be coming in the future.
Okay, so it's always Access the Globe.
Yeah.
Super, so people can follow you and get some news, and most of all, be informed right away as soon as Sri Lanka's open again for business.
Yes, yeah.
Good. James, again, a big thank you, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Yes, okay, thank you. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. Big hug, bye-bye.
See you. Bye.
This episode was offered to you by destinationeverywhere.eu, the travel platforms for people of all abilities. Now, we are not taking bookings at the moment due to the pandemic situation, but we can definitively help you if you want to start thinking about and pre-planning your next trip. So if you have any questions about finding an accessible accommodation or wheelchair-adapted means of transport in the destination you want to visit, or a great guide to take you around, please do get in touch with us. You'll find us on destinationeverywhere.eu. In the contacts page, you have all the ways you can get in touch with us, or you can just drop us a message on our Instagram or our Facebook profiles. We also have a great YouTube channel where you will also find a version of this podcast with subtitles. So, see you soon!